Kristen, next week is the eclipse.
Yeah, the apocalypse, right?
Exactly. And I received an email from old Ron Allen. Was that his name? Yes.
Yeah.
I got an email from him, and he said, take heart, because we know the master of the storm. There is there's a weather prediction that the entire path of the eclipse is going to be covered in cloud.
Wow.
So maybe people won't be able to see the eclipse and won't be able to experience the glory of God's mysterious ways, the majesty, the opening
But Jesus
up of the
rolls
sky.
the clouds away. That's his job.
That's what he's saying. We know the master of the storms.
Yeah.
God can roll those clouds back.
Mm-hmm.
So he said that we needed to really be in more prayer.
More prayer. Prayer that Ron's prophecies come true. We need to pray that Ron is found to be legit. Okay, yeah.
Which he is, yes. Okay, but we're not talking about the eclipse again this week. We are talking about
something much scarier. Much more frightening. Way more frightening than Jesus coming back with the eclipse. We're talking about tribulation on earth as it is. Essentially.
Yes.
I mean, just...
Yes.
Yeah. We're talking about...
Mr. Hagee, who we did talk about in the eclipse, John Hagee, believes that Armageddon will be fought on American soil. It's going to be the next civil war of America that the entire world will become a part of.
Yeah.
I think he might be onto something. Today we are talking about Christian nationalism. No, we are talking about, let's give it the full correct name, White Christian Nationalism.
Right. Yeah, because it's just the whiteys.
Well, it's not actually.
There are some different races involved. However, the white Christian nationalists want to destroy them. So, bummer.
Yes.
Bummer for them. Wow.
I know. So
this was so painful to research. So I watched the documentary that you had suggested, the God and Country, The Rise of Christian Nationalism.
Which is free on Amazon Prime right now.
It is? Oh, I just paid $3.99 for it. But it was still well worth it.
On Amazon Prime, it was, it said it was free.
Oh, okay. Well, I paid for it. Oh, okay, well, anyway. Special. Because you're whitey feel good. No, I don't know. I don't know what they think I am.
Because I'm a privileged white girl.
That's right.
So, I don't know. Maybe I had a credit on my account. Maybe that's what it was. But anyway, yes, God and Country.
It was horrifying. It was horrifying to watch.
So terrible.
Yeah, I literally felt sick to my stomach.
Me too.
The entire time. And I'm like, this isn't just, people on the fringe going off the deep end. I mean, it is fringe people going off the deep end, but this is shit that's going down, and it's probably just going to keep going down harder, especially with this election coming up.
I know. And I am not typically a conspiracy theorist.
Right.
But I was like, oh my gosh, like just the evidence. Now, I will say that it was, okay, you know me. People who listen to this podcast probably have a good feel for me right now. I am I really have a hard time with Christians. But I walked away from there going, there are some good Christians. I was like, yes. And so, there was the Christians against Christian nationalism. And I was like, yes, these people are coming out strong against the Christian nationalists going, we do not stand for this. This is not what Jesus is about. This is not what Christianity is. You are taking the name of Christianity and warping it to fit your own white supremacist beliefs.
Yeah.
That
agenda.
is not right. And I was like, yes.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. There are some great people out there fighting for the truth of Christianity. Sadly, that's a small amount of people, first of all, that even recognize what an issue this is. And second of all, are taking action to do something about it.
Yes.
Because these like lunatic Christian nationalists
who are
growing
in government.
Yes. And growing in number.
In huge proportions, because it feels so good to white people who are terrified. They said the two things, outrage and fear. They're angry and they're terrified. And that's what feels good to so many people in this nation right now who are like, it's not fair that liberals, that those sinners are also trying to live their lives.
That the gays are stealing our children.
The gays!
Did you notice?
Yes! Yes, I did notice.
You know exactly what I'm going to say.
Yes.
Jerry Falwell.
They showed him in his preaching.
He was all over the documentary that we watched.
He was all over
I was like, and there he is. Oh,
there
my
he is.
word.
Yes, of course. Who started the entire Christian nationalist movement? Fucking Jerry Falwell.
Uh-huh. The moral majority, Jerry Falwell.
The moral majority that basically said that Christians need to get political and we need to turn this country around because the sinners are taking over and they're going to drive it into the ground.
Well, and they actually said that platform actually started because of segregation. Because
now wasn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Because they said Jerry Falwell, like in his very first, it says his first sermon on abortion. Like that's the topic that they took to the forefront because they could get lots of numbers.
Yes. Yeah. But behind Right for Life
issue
is we don't want blacks in our whitey schools. Yeah.
That's right. That was the true issue. Yes. So I mean, Jerry Falwell, he said, did you hear his quote? The quote that they said on there? Did you?
Oh, I mean, I watched the whole thing, but I didn't write it down. What?
Okay.
Tell me.
Let me find it. Jerry Falwell said, because he was talking about the women marching.
Oh
yes. In Los Angeles.
Yes. Oh my God. I know what you're going to say.
He said, and I quote, thousands of ladies were marching in Los Angeles and New York for their rights. ERA. All the rights. But any right that a dear lady needs is the right to be married to a godly husband who is under the leadership of Jesus Christ. That's the only right you need.
Yes.
To be married to a godly husband.
And you and I, we believed that at one point, didn't we?
We did. Yes.
And we married ourselves godly husbands.
Yes.
And we're under their authority. Yeah.
And
that worked out great.
Us. Yeah. They vote on our behalf.
Right.
And that is terrifying because that's what they want the country to get back to. When they're talking about make America great again, they're talking about that no women, no minorities,
women should be property
only
again.
White men would have the right to vote because they speak for everyone else in this country.
Well, clearly they speak for Jesus himself.
True.
So, I mean,
Yes.
a godly man that's under the authority of Jesus.
That's right.
As both of our husbands were. I mean, they claimed to be, didn't they?
They sure did.
As they abused us and our children. So, how lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get back to that. Make America great again.
Yeah.
Where nobody has the right to vote but white men.
Right. Oh, that's what Jesus wanted.
Right. Now, I thought this documentary was so powerful. That little Catholic nun.
She was amazing.
Didn't you love her?
Yeah. I'm like, you're my favorite Catholic.
Amazing. Now, she reminded me of why I almost became a Catholic, because like the Franciscans and a lot of, like, I had met a lot of nuns who were like her, who were like, no way. We are going to follow the Jesus of the Bible, not this cultural Jesus that people have made up.
Not the Jesus of the Trump Bible. The one with the flag on it that says God bless America and has the Constitution and the Bill of Rights inside.
What in the actual fuck is happening in our country right now?
Britt, for $59.99, you can have a Trump ordained Bible.
Yes.
That has the American flag on the front and says, God bless the USA.
God bless the USA, and has what? The Constitution and
the Bill of Rights and the Pledge of Allegiance.
The Pledge of Allegiance. Now, it doesn't have the amendments in it. It
doesn't have the amendments to the Constitution?
I don't believe so. And do you know why that might be?
Probably because it says that women have rights and
Black people have rights. And amendment number 1, which says there should be the separation of church and state, that no religion.
Right. ...
I don't know what the words are. I should probably know that.
Well, Brittany, that's just a letter. That's what they said.
That's right. It's just
the senator, the representative of, where was it? Colorado or someplace that I was really surprised. Yeah.
This white woman.
She must live up
never
by
says anything. The Constitution, there is nothing in the United States government archives, nothing in our Constitution
that talks about church and state.
Letter.
Yeah, just some letter. Right.
You mean the amendments?
Because
it's
you
not
think
just some letter.
That a group of 40 men or however many men originally wrote the Constitution, that maybe they left out a thing or two. I mean, maybe there were some minor oversights. I mean, that happens. The Bible didn't stop at Genesis. So, there
might have been a few more things to say.
There have been some amendments, right? So, like the whole Jesus part. Yeah, yes.
Right. The 10 Commandments got there. It got the basic idea. But we probably ought to say a few more things about it.
But then we bastardized that and made it into 600 and something Jewish laws that there is no way people could do. Don't scratch your genitals on the Sabbath. And,
menstruating women should be tossed outside the city gate.
Yeah.
Some really important things.
Man, oh man. So, yes. So, you too can have one of these Bibles.
$59.
And I would not be surprised at all if my aunt and uncle haven't purchased one or two or a dozen to give to all their friends and family.
Do you think you'll get one?
Wouldn't that be great? Oh, that would be so thoughtful of them.
First of all, just that this guy is raising money.
This guy being
Trump.
Yeah.
Raising money for his election and also his legal fees.
His legal bills.
In which he is using,
indicted for serious crimes against,
a stripper, a porn star. Let's use the Bible, the money you raise from Bibles, to pay off your legal fees where you were,
Right. Now, granted, in the interviews of him, he cannot quote a single Bible verse. Now, he says, I'd prefer not to, because that's very personal.
Kristen.
Yeah.
It's something between just me and God. My favorite scriptures.
Right. I was like, everybody needs to, he's, and on the one side of his mouth, he's saying everybody needs to have a Bible. Religion is important. Right. Religion, not faith. Religion is important. The man-made construct of religion is important, not faith. Never mentions faith. But I don't know a single verse from the Bible, and that's very private. Please don't ask me.
Please don't ask me. Like I said, he couldn't even quote Jesus wept.
Right.
That's my favorite verse. Jesus wept. Yeah. He couldn't even do that. He had no idea where to even start. He didn't know a single Bible verse.
He could have just said John 3:16 because everybody...
They would have asked him to quote it, though. They would have said, which is what?
Yeah. And which he didn't want to get himself trapped. Yeah, that's personal. For God so loved the world. Oh, wait, that's personal because it's about me.
For God so loved
I am the world.
People.
I sit atop the world. For God so loved
me. Oh, I would have loved if he had quoted it. I wanted to know how he interpreted that.
I love the blacks. I love the
blacks.
No, you got to make your mouth like a little butthole. Go squish it up right there. I love the blacks. I love religion. Everybody needs to have religion.
Everybody. We're going to make America pray again.
Oh, that's what he says in the commercial, isn't it? His little commercial.
Oh, I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it for everyone.
Okay. Yeah. Because if you can, so I think the commercial only runs on what his little social media that he created.
Which I got on this week.
Oh God! Did you create an account?
I did.
That's so beautiful.
Kristen,
I love it.
It is so amazing.
Oh, I hear the police coming for you, Brittany. The police are coming. They're like, the CIA and the FBI. They're listening.
It's a fire truck. Something.
That's what they want you to believe.
Down.
That's what they want you to believe, Brittany. But they're actually just coming close.
Oh,
yeah. Something's burning down because the Christian nationalists are out there burning crosses and.
But Kristen, as I was researching, I felt a little afraid. I was like, I'm not going to live in fear like they live in fear. But I did struggle with it a little bit this week. I was like, gosh, it does scare me for this country. And so let's back it up a little bit and give the people an overview of what Christian nationalism is.
Yes, please.
So Christians, there is a website, Christians Against Christian Nationalism, and they've done research on Christian nationalism and what this is and how prevalent it is in our country and stuff. So and Dr. Andrew Whitehead, who wrote his book, Taking Back America for God. So he was really in his research and everything. So he and others, they did this whole survey, right, of people all across the country. So they found that there are really 4 categories of people. Okay. So I have my little 4 fingers raised up here.
Yes, you do. Your 4 little piggies.
2 of them lean away from Christian nationalism. 2 of them lean toward Christian nationalism. Okay?
Okay.
So those who lean away are the rejectors and the resistors. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that's 2 categories of people. Together, they make up 48% of the population.
Oh.
Those that lean toward Christian nationalism, the accommodators and the ambassadors make up 52% of the nation, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, it is.
When you consider more than half of the population believes. So there are some questions they asked. They said, should the government enforce this as a Christian nation?
Okay.
Yes. They believe yes.
Uh-huh.
Should the government in the laws advocate for Christian values? So needing to get back to Judeo-Christian values.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Should it be mandated Christian prayer in school? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is the success of the U.S. part of God's plan? Yes. Okay.
Wow, they believe that.
Yes. These are people who lean in that direction of like, yes, that's where we want to get to. 52% of the population.
Okay.
Now, what I thought was interesting about that, there's a few things I thought was interesting. Across those 4 sectors, you would they were like, just looking at that, you would think, okay, they're all white, they're all less educated. Like, come on, right? That's not true. They're all across those are educations of all variety, races and ethnicities of all varieties. It spans all across the entire country, east to west, north to south. So every single part of our entire country is represented in every one of those. And I was like, what? How is that? That is terrifying to me.
I wonder, and you may not be able to answer this, you probably won't. I wonder, of those 4 questions you just mentioned, if they have to meet all of those criteria to be on the... Because there are some of those that I was like, I wonder if somebody just blindly came up and asked me those questions, if I wouldn't answer yes to a couple of them. But then... then the last one for sure, I was like, no.
Oh, okay. Let's unpack that a little bit.
I'm like, am I a Christian nationalist? Ah! Because that is terrifying. What?
Okay. It's good that you're asking yourself that question, because it really gets down to what people believe about the separation of church and state.
Right.
That no Christian values should be promoted within the Christian churches, in the Christian schools, in the Christian homes, not in our government. Our government should not be pushing Christian values because, as they said in the documentary, that woman said, what happens if you don't believe in any of that stuff? What happens if you're an atheist, if you're a different religion, if you don't believe, if you're LGBT, if you are a minority? What happens if you don't believe in their beliefs? And now the government is saying you have to do these things, everyone in the entire country.
So I guess where I differ is what I see as Christian values versus what they see as Christian values.
Okay.
So the
Morals.
the second question you asked, I think,
should the federal government advocate with our laws, advocate Christian values? So
I was thinking, I might say yes to that, but here's why. I don't think they should call it Christian values. I think they should look to the Bible for moral guidance, and that the moral information that we get from especially the New Testament should be represented in the law.
Ooh, Kristen.
But I don't think it should be called Christian values.
But why do you have to look into the Bible to find those things?
For moral guidance.
Of what kind? I'm thinking there are just humanitarian values. Like, don't that's kill exactly people.
It. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but where do you get those? Like,
you get those from just humanitarian across. They're just culturally humanitarian values, right? That,
sure.
Like,
okay, sure.
Like the World Organization, and there are very basic human rights, and there are human moral values, right? Like, there are things that we like, just don't murder people, right?
Right.
Which is don't be a dick. Don't hurt your neighbor. Like,
yeah, but don't be a dick is not a common moral value across rights. Cultures.
I'm talking about human rights.
Yeah.
That are
and
universal. But you're not looking into the Bible to find those things. Because now we can say, okay, well, why don't we look into the Quran to see what they would say? Are there moral values?
Right. So I guess what I'm saying for myself is I believe in the morals of the New Testament and what Jesus taught. I would love to see what Jesus taught being the overarching theme for the laws of our government. However, I don't think that we have to call it, Christian. I think what Jesus taught is good stuff. And that,
I think that's really gray. Because you, like they said in the documentary, these people also do that. They look at the Jesus of the Bible, and they looking at the Jesus of the Bible, or because, like they said in the documentary, they love the Jesus of Revelation. The Jesus of Revelation,
the warrior Jesus that comes,
the warrior Jesus who fights, and he makes blood run in the streets, and he is fighting for justice. Right? Now, that's not the Jesus of
that walked the
Gospels,
earth. Right?
The Gospels, who said, "Put down your sword," and glued the guy's ear back on when Peter picked up a sword. Like, no, we're not going to.
Right?
We're
and
not
who
picking up
said,
swords.
"Love your neighbor as yourself," and neighbor means absolutely freaking everyone.
Yeah, but that's not how they read it. Which is why. What you're saying of, like, we need to look into the Bible to get our laws. That's what they want to do. But that's why it's so scary, because they see this warrior Jesus,
my interpretation,
who will destroy the sinners.
Yeah.
Right. Interpretation.
So that's where it gets scary. You're exactly right, Brittany. So asking those questions, to me, as you were saying those questions, I'm thinking to myself, that seems wise, but it's based on my own interpretation of the Bible and who Jesus is. Do I want that left up to some other do I want it left up to Donald Trump, who can't even quote a single verse from the Bible to determine,
or any of those whack jobs who were at the Capitol on January 6th, who were also singing hymns? They were lifting up, carrying Christian flags. They were carrying around their AK-47s. They said a prayer.
Busting in windows.
Yeah, they got to the Senate floor and said a prayer. Thank you, Lord, for getting us in here. We are doing the Lord's work. We are doing justice.
Right, by being terrors. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So
that's why the separation of church and state is so
important. Yeah.
And why the founding fathers knew that and said, absolutely not will this government be a Christian nation. Which I love, because these people are saying we need to get back to the founding fathers who wanted this to be a Christian nation. They founded it on Christian principles. That's not true. They didn't.
Right. No, the Pilgrims, left. Yeah. Left their homeland for religious freedom. because they wanted to practice a new form of Christianity and be out from under, dun dun dun, political rule, where religion was political.
Now, yeah, they didn't get too far because they came here and immediately started killing people who didn't believe like them.
Right.
The natives. And then enslaved Africans, right? So I thought this was so interesting because the Dr. what's his name? Dr. Whitehead, he said that when the Puritans got here, so we're talking about like deeply, deeply rooted nationalism, that this has been happening since the beginning, that, and how Christians just want power and they will do anything to get power. Mm-hmm. So he talked about how the Puritans who came were Anglicans, like so many of the Anglicans who were establishing religion in the colonies, even before America was yet independent, that there was this Anglican bishop in London who was still over them. So they had to get a message back to him and said, hey, we're confused about what to do right now because we have all of these black slaves and we're not sure if we should baptize them or not. Because, if we baptize them, then they're Christians, right?
And then they might be equal to us, and we don't want none of that.
There's a scripture and where Paul says that once people are baptized, they're no longer male or female, Christian, Jew or Greek, black or white. Like suddenly
they're all children of God.
They're all equal in Christ. Yeah. And so we're not sure if we should do that because if we baptize them, does that mean that they're equal with us and we need to set them free?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think he said?
No, that's not what that means. Don't do that.
No, go ahead and baptize them, but baptism does not change. It's not a civil matter. It's really a spiritual matter. So it doesn't truly make them equal to us, like civilly. Spiritually, God sees us as one. But you could still continue to use them as your slaves and own them.
And rape them and beat them,
kill them and
steal their children from
right. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, God loves that. Yeah,
is what our country was founded on.
Right.
Which is deeply disturbing.
Right. But there's still so many people today that believe in those
very things.
Oh, goodness.
So
those same tenets.
I thought it was really interesting about how they paired Christian nationalism with white supremacy, that really Christian nationalism is really just a cover for white supremacy. And that is true. Now, he said the reason that you can tell, so in that study that I was telling you about where there were the 4 different categories, they said they also assessed for some opinions and beliefs about racial inequality. So let's just see what these people, in these 4 groups have to say about that.
Okay, yes.
So they asked, do you believe that Black people in this country face significant discrimination?
Oh, Lord. And what did they say?
Well, in all 4 categories, every single Black person, so 70% of the Black people in each category and above,
yes.
At least 70% said yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we face significant discrimination.
Yes.
Well, what do you think happened as the category went up? So the people who were like, no, we should not be a Christian nation. Hell no. They had higher percentages of it. Yes, of course they faced discrimination. But those people who really wanted this to be a Christian nation, the yes-leaning people, had very significant, down to 8% of them were like, no. There's no discrepancy there. No, there's no, difference between whites and Blacks and how police treat them. And how black people,
oh my
no
God,
microaggressions or anything like that. No, that's not a thing.
Oh, the ignorance.
Ignorant.
Yes. Wow.
But they don't want to believe it because they like the idea that making this a Christian nation will put white people in power. Right. And they're so terrified of minorities, and that there's this projection that this country will be
mostly minority. Yeah, correct.
Majority. A
minority. Yeah, majority will be minorities. That's correct.
Exactly. And they're terrified of that happening. So we need to act fast. That's why there has been such a push. And how long has it been? Not even 10 years?
Since Christian nationalism?
No, really seeing this push.
Right.
Like when you're talking about, what's her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene, and who said very clearly, yes, I am a Christian nationalist because the majority of Christians are. And she's a senator. She's fighting for our laws.
Right. I mean, and that's just one. I mean, there are so many other politicians out there holding different seats, both in local government and national government. And a lot of them hold those values, but won't say that, they won't necessarily claim that they're Christian nationalists or...
But, yes, this should be a Christian nation.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, even me just a few moments ago was confused about how I would answer those questions.
Yeah, that's really
because true. I'm like, the Jesus follower in me would love to see how Jesus viewed humankind spread throughout our nation. But
he was very
under the force of law? No.
Right. He was very clear. You don't know. It's not Caesar.
Right.
That should
give to Caesar what's Caesar's, and give to God what's God's.
But no, this is not supposed to be what is in power. And any time that the powerful get a hold of the Bible, millions and millions of people are killed.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember that movie, The Book of Eli? Did you ever see that?
Yes.
With Denzel Washington?
Yes.
So for
wanted it viewers, for power.
Yeah, so for viewers who haven't seen this movie, it is a little gruesome, so if you're not fond of gore.
Great.
But Denzel, it's post-apocalyptic scenario here in the United States, and Denzel Washington is on some quest. He's been, I forget how it even starts, but he's been given a book. The book is the Bible. And
you don't know that, though.
No, you don't know that at the beginning. He's been taken a book to give to some... He's got to deliver it somewhere. Anyway, he is chased down by other powers that are trying to get a hold of this book because they say where this book goes, so is the power. And you can manipulate the people. The people will listen to me if I have this book. Oh my gosh, is that not Donald Trump selling his Bible right now? He's like, if I have this book in my hand, I'll get the people to listen to me. I can hold up this book and manipulate the masses with the power within the pages of this book. So spoiler alert on Book of Eli. He's carrying the Bible with him. It's the last copy on Earth. But there are other twists that you can still watch that you won't get until the end. So... but
yes, the amazing cannibal people who have the shakes. Ooh, I love that. I think about that all the time.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
You can tell they eat human flesh because they've got the shakes. Yeah. Good. Yeah, nice.
It's great. It's a great movie. I definitely thought that was one of the most terrifying, prominent moments in the documentary when the author, the woman who wrote Jesus and John Wayne, which she talks about this very issue we're talking about, and she shows she's an American historian, but she also had this side interest in Nazi Germany and how Hitler rose to power because he was endorsed by the people, by the Christians. He was endorsed by all of the Christians. And she was fascinated by that. Like, how could Christians buy in to this belief, this person who is, wanting to commit genocide, mass genocide, and that was endorsed by the church?
But she also mentioned they didn't come right out and say that was their agenda from the beginning. It is a slow progression of convincing people that these are, moral values and Christian values, and then slowly adding in more and more of their agenda to rid our Christian nation of the evils of these other false religions.
It is a very slow drip. It is.
And then how do we do that? Well, let's start by just putting them all in this ghetto in Poland. Yeah. And then maybe let's take them to a train to a camp where they can what is happening in the camps? Don't ask those kind of questions.
No, we're not experimenting on them in any way. No.
Right.
We're not doing anything.
We're not killing their babies or burning their flesh or right. So there was one pastor, and I didn't write down who it was, in this documentary that actually said they were given legal power from heaven to exercise authority over mankind. That was a quote that I wrote down from that documentary.
That who was?
Given the Christians. Were given legal power from heaven to exercise the authority of God.
Absolutely.
Legal power.
Absolutely. They believe that.
Right. Yes. And then there was some historian, and maybe it was the same woman, that said, this is not the Christian nationalism. This is not a movement of Christian values. It is a movement of Christian power.
Yes.
There's nothing about values in it. It's a power grab.
Absolutely it is. Yeah. He who holds the power rules the world. And especially in America. Right? So they believe that they are ushering in. I mean, it's such a deep belief that they are ushering in God's will.
Right.
I mean, focus on the family and that huge compound that Ray was talking about. What are they doing there?
Right.
Seriously.
The eugenetics lab, like he said.
Right.
We're growing new babies for our Christian army. Yeah.
Because, what has Focus on the Family said all along? It is, when you destroy the family, what caused the family to collapse? In the documentary, they say feminism.
It's the gays. Oh.
It was women. Let's be honest. It was women. It was
taking
feminism.
Some power. Yep. Mm-hmm.
We allowed women to vote, and we allowed Black people to vote. And that destroyed the entire family, which destroyed the nation.
That's right. That's right. So,
and now it's terrifying because, like they also said, this is not just this small little group of people. This is 52% of the country. Remember that, who have deep, deep pockets.
Right.
Deep pockets of like the American Family Association or whatever. And all of these people who have almost $2 billion a year that they.
Oh yeah. I took a screenshot of all of the,
I did too.
Of organizations, Yeah, the religious organizations that are contributing to the funding of these political movements. Christian Broadcasting Network gives almost $300 million a year.
And who are they giving it to? Are these
it's going towards to politicians. It's going to political agendas. Yes.
So how many were there? How many organizations were there?
They only listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, 10. They only listed the top 10. But the smallest, the least on that list of 10 is the Church of Freedom Foundation, and that's $2.5 million.
Yes. So they said combined it was almost $2 billion a year.
Yeah.
That they're giving to politicians to make these pass the laws they want to pass.
Yeah. Now, all of that is going towards political lobbying for these Christian nationalist type agendas.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to kind of get back to the whole Hitler thing because I thought that was terrifying.
Please.
But at one point, she says that, Hitler was endorsed by the Christian church, and they said, quote, he is blessed and ordained by God. Right? So that's the church had said this of him, and they're all, you can see the Catholics, the whoever, or the Episcopalian, whatever, they had their little thing on doing Heil Hitler. They're all their
little white nubby. Their little,
what's it called? The
black collar with the little white nubby in the center.
Collar. Yeah. Whatever that is. So, and they're saluting Hitler and everything. So, this week, so I told you I got on Trump's media.
Yeah, what's it called? Social Truth or Truth Social or something
Social
like that?
Truth, I think. He just calls it truth. It's just
right.
Truth.
It's truth. Because
Capital
Trump,
T, truth.
We know that Trump speaks the truth and only the truth. Yeah, that's the truth according to Trump. Sure.
And there was such an uproar on Easter because it was also the National Day of Trans Visibility.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. So people were so mad. These Christian nationalists were so mad. How dare they fall on the same day? Well, because if you believe in separation of church and state, it's not a problem. This is your little Easter day. It can fall on another day.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with Christianity because this is not a Christian nation.
Right.
It's not a problem. But Trump posted day after. I think there were 70 some posts on Easter about how dare Biden. He's out to get you Christians because he said that this was the trans day, but it's your day. It's Easter, and he's out to get you, and he's trying to take, he wouldn't allow Easter eggs with any religious theme, and he wouldn't allow this and that, and he's out to get you Christians.
Brittany, you know what? It just occurred to me that the colors of the trans flag are
Easter colors.
Blue, pink, and white. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Pastel blue, pastel pink, and white. They are trying to steal
male and female colors and a white color.
Oh my gosh, right.
That could also be it too.
Maybe it is, but it's more likely that they're trying to steal Easter colors. They're like, Christ transformed. We can transform too. And I see what they're doing.
How dare they? But on Easter, he also posted some really significant articles that I thought were terrifying. So he finds these fringe people that are extremists, that are racist, that are, supremacist, and he will retweet them.
Yeah.
He totally like accepts it. Thank you so much. That's so amazing. So there was this guy in the Gateway Pundit.
What?
Wayne Root is his name. And he said, do you believe in miracles? So this is what Trump reposted because he loves this.
Okay.
He said,
I do believe in miracles, so I want to hear this.
But miracles sent directly by God. There's a miracle happening right now, Kristen. Did you know that?
Oh, what is it?
It is that Trump has been sent to this country. Something miraculous is happening. It is supernatural. It is a miracle. And he says, and I quote, do you believe in miracles? It's time to start believing. What's happening is supernatural. Everyone is starting to see it. Everyone is starting to believe.
Everyone.
The signs are there. Everyone.
Uh-huh.
Trump is the quote, the chosen one. Trump is sent by God and blessed by God. Almost word for word what the church said about Hitler.
Holy shit.
And there's a video.
The chosen one?
The chosen one. There's a video of Trump yelling up at the sky, I am the chosen one. He believes it about himself. So, I mean, when we're talking about these people and how they want to put him in power for this very reason, because he has come to establish white Christian nationalism in this country, there are people who deeply, deeply believe in that.
He's going to build the New Jerusalem and usher in the new coming of Christ, apparently.
Well, wasn't it in that podcast when they compared him to King, what was his name? The king who did that very thing, who rebuilt the temple.
Oh, yes.
Name, Kristen?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Pause. King.
This is the waiting music.
This is the elevator waiting music.
Yeah, we're pausing. Searching online, trying to find the name of the king.
What is the name of the king? I thought I wrote
We
it
don't
down,
want our listeners to think we don't do research ahead of time. Cause there is a Karen out there that's gonna bitch that we don't know.
Okay, I don't know where it is. Okay, I'm gonna just go Google it real quick.
Well, maybe it wasn't a king, maybe it was just a politician. Rebuilt the temple?
Called? The temple. Oh, this is Herod, but that wasn't it.
No.
Oh, gosh. King Cyrus!
Oh, yeah,
King Cyrus. They're comparing him to King Cyrus of Persia, allowing the Jews to return to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple that had been destroyed.
Oh, what a nice guy.
King Cyrus.
Yeah. So Trump is going to usher in the rebuilding of the quote unquote metaphorical temple here in the United States.
That's what they want.
Aren't we so blessed to be in the country where Jesus is going to come back directly and that God is using for his personal agenda here on earth? And
I mean, it truly is a miracle. Now,
it's all about America.
They thought, just like with the eclipse, they thought that previous eclipses were when Jesus was coming back, but next week is really the eclipse. Just like that, they thought that Hitler was the Cyrus. He wasn't, but Trump is.
But Trump is.
We thought he was the chosen one.
Trump only wants to kill Mexican babies. He doesn't want to kill all the Jews. He just wants to. A lot of people. He wants to rid our nation of
Muslims, right? Muslims, and He really hates the Muslims.
And any immigrants, and it will eventually get to the Jews. They'll get to the Jews eventually.
Sure.
We'll have to deal with them, apparently, too.
Well, I mean, because of his, his base, those people that he thinks are really good people who, were all the Nazis storming through, what was it, Charleston? What was the town when they pulled down the statue? And then, you know what I'm talking about? That whole thing that happened.
The Robert E. Lee statue?
Yes. And so, those white supremacist KKK guys who were out there yelling and shouting and
they're heroes. They're heroes of our nation.
Just really good people.
Right. And then, then they went on in a drunken rampage to, rape some children. Oh, but it was their own children. So don't worry. They weren't out raping your personal children, just their own.
Not your personal children.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Oh.
It is awful. So I know there's so much to talk about. First of all, I want to state very clearly that this was not, nor has it ever been, a Christian nation. That is a myth. It is a falsehood. The founding fathers never, ever, ever tried to establish this nation as being a Christian nation. It's not real, nor were they Christians. If you don't believe that, read some fucking history. Okay.
But it depends what version of history you read.
The real history. History is history. History is not religion. The real historical documents.
No, but I'm saying
not the
people write history books and skew it to,
that's true too, but no. Okay, so I haven't read it, but I'm definitely going to read it.
What
is so well shit.
Bum 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 bum.
Well, no. That makes me feel like I have a time frame. I don't like that. Okay, hold on. That's giving me a lot of anxiety.
Okay.
Shit. Okay. It's about the American myth.
Okay.
I really want to read his book. He was the guy. He's part the American myth. Okay. Yeah. I thought that's what it was. Kevin Cruz. Does that sound right? Maybe he was one of the guys who was on the podcast. I'll edit some of this out. Yeah. I think it was Kevin Cruz, and it was the Myth America. Historians take on the biggest legends and lies about our past, being one that this is a Christian nation. Yeah.
I did think it was very interesting. No. Oh, God! Yeah. You scared the shit out of me. What?
Okay. Sorry.
It's like when I'm driving down the road and my kid goes, "Look at that car!" And I think that I'm, in imminent danger, and I'm like, start swerving and and he just is like pointing out.
Anyway, okay.
So it's man.
No, I might put that in there. Okay, Andrew Seidel or Seidel, The Founding Myth: Why Christian Nationalism is Un-American.
Okay.
That looks like a really good book. So he talks a lot about and does a lot of research into why this was not a Christian nation, nor has it ever been, nor is that anything that the founding fathers would have wanted. So if you're going to make America great again, really, what does that mean? It means we need to go back to when white men were in power. That's what they mean.
So Brittany, playing devil's advocate, what makes this guy an authority where the people that are writing the white Christian nationalist agenda are not? the authority.
Are not the authority. Well, I would want to know.
Because they can spin history how they want to spin it. And this guy can spin it how he wants to spin it. Just like CNN and Fox News see the same incidences differently. That who's to say, Brittany? Who's to say knows the actual truth? So I have this argument with my family a lot. So my parents...
Who knows the truth?
Yeah, my parents used to. They have kind of come away from that. They used to watch a lot of Fox News. And yes. I mean, nonstop, around the clock, Fox News was on. And they just were so bombarded with it that they began to believe so much of what was being said. And my sisters and I would try to point out other truths from nonpartisan forces, good Lord. Nonpartisan sources. People that didn't have an agenda, a political agenda one way or the other. And they were like, well, I don't know, because, I believe what Fox News has to say. So, and they would always say how CNN is so evil. And I'm like, how can you not see that both of these news organizations are spinning things the way they want to project it to the public for their own political agendas? How can you not see that they're
However, I would want to I'm not just gonna, so I'm the kind of person, the kind of researcher who's not just going to take what somebody says at face value.
Yes. And that is what I was talking to my...
You can all you want, but I want to see the historical documents. I want to see how it was written. I want to, I'm going to do that kind of
I want to set my eyes on the original thing. I'm not going to trust your paraphrasing of something, because you can spin your paraphrase however you want. You can
Which is why preaching is so dangerous, because it depends on who you're listening to, because they're spinning it however they want to spin it. Unless you look at the historical documents, you look at the context in which it was written. These people who understand, the actual historians and the scholars who understand the context of Scripture, then you don't have anything to say to me.
Like our special guest Maggie earlier this season, from our episode on deconstruction, on religious deconstruction, was saying about leadership roulette. You just never know what kind of teaching. It's like spinning the roulette table. Up there. Yeah. And they're just pulling verses out and interpreting them however they want.
Somebody else.
Yeah. However, or putting their own spin on it, So I had this conversation with my mother just yesterday about it's so important to take everything you hear online and on TV and through the media and compare it yourself against your own reading of the Scripture. If because she's like, this is what God wants. And I'm like, is it? Because you can't just believe what somebody on TV is telling you this is what God wants. Like Donald Trump with the stupid God Bless the USA Bible, when he can't quote a single verse out of the Bible himself. So let's not just blindly believe that because someone says this is what God wants, and he happens to be, a famous politician or a pastor of a large church or something like that, that is the truth. We still have to use our critical thinking skills, which are lacking.
Because of coercive control in the church, that they have taught people to deaden their critical thinking skills. They don't want critical thinkers. It's just like a little cult, right? It's the cult of Christian nationalism or other whatever, that they don't want critical thinkers. Follow along blindly. Don't check that out too closely. So, yeah, I think it is important if our readers get anything or listeners get anything from this, is that they are looking into it and listening to voices. If you are leaning one way that this should be a Christian nation, maybe listen to the people who say absolutely not, and here's why. Okay, listen to both sides. Like, okay, and through this election, I've been trying to listen to a lot of different news sources. I want to hear what everybody has to say before I make a decision. Do that.
Right. And then, like, for me personally, who still has, is very devout in my own following of Christian doctrine, right?
Yeah.
I mean, then I measure that against what I know of Jesus and the character of God and what is written in the Bible. I'm not for myself.
The Bible's kind of all over the place too. So you have to measure it against what in your heart you believe
in my
God
heart
is, right?
Correct.
Well, they believe in their heart that God is this warrior, AK-47 carrying, bald eagle on his shoulder, white guy. That's what they believe is written in Scripture. So, I think it's a good, just a good call to be cautious out there, y'all. If you are interested in Christians Against Christian Nationalism, their website is good. It has a lot of really good resources.
I'm interested in it. What's the name of the website?
ChristINSANITY.com.
Oh, okay.
But we'll put it in the show notes.
Handy.
There are a lot of really good resources on there. There's a whole study that you can go through that really helps you think through some of these biases that you might have, some of the fears that you might have. There are Christian leaders.
Oh, I love that.
It's so good. I watched it yesterday. I think it was like an hour long, but then there's like a study that goes along with it that asks you questions about like to think these things through, to use your critical thinking skills. What?
Right.
Okay. So there's also like a lot of things that you can do. There's a statement that you can sign if you're like, yes, I absolutely will sign this and like want to be a part of this, as saying, this is not the Jesus that we believe. This is not the Christianity that we believe in, that we are going to stand for something different. There's also, we'll put this in the show notes, also bjconline.org, which is, it was ChristiansAgainstChristianNationalists.org.
Okay.
And this one is bjconline.org, and this is the Center for Faith, Justice, and Reconciliation. So again, Christians who are really strongly believe in the separation of church and state and the First Amendment. First Amendment came before the Second Amendment. Okay, so before you start toting your guns out in the name of God, maybe look at the First Amendment, that we probably shouldn't do that. Let's do the first one before we get to the second one. So there's some really good resources to, look into this more if you're interested.
Cool.
And please, if you bought a Bible, please let us know what's in it.
Oh,
please give us the deets.
I would be so fascinated to see.
I'm not buying it, just like I'm not going to buy anything from Mike, the My Pillow guy.
Right. Because you don't want to endorse those people. Yeah.
No, I cannot spend money. But if you don't have any conviction about that and you bought the Bible, please reach out to us. Let us know.
Do you really think the people that bought that Bible are the people listening to our podcast?
I think there might be one or two out there that were like, this is so fucking funny. I'm going to get it and I'm going to burn it, or I'm going to pass it around. Do something creative with it. Use it as an art project.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? But first, let us know what's inside.
Send some pictures.
I wonder if it's a red letter edition. I wonder if I'm thinking probably not.
Probably not.
Thinking,
we don't want them to focus on Jesus's words.
No, we
let's
really
not
want
those words.
Yeah.
All of Revelation is red letter.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to highlight Jesus's words in Revelation.
Yeah. Right. And there's probably a picture of Trump in the book of Revelation too, like holding up the serpent with...
He's opening one of the scrolls.
He's got arms locked with Jesus. He's on the back of that horse that Jesus is riding.
Yes.
And
pouring
he's holding Jesus by
his little...
Yeah.
Yes.
or rather, Trump is riding the horse and Jesus is riding on the back.
On the back.
And Jesus has got his arms wrapped around Trump's belly. Yeah.
I'm sure Jesus is riding side saddle.
Probably. Because, he does have a robe and it's right.
Mm-hmm. Well, they said, we don't believe in no effeminate Jesus. We believe in a warrior Jesus.
Right.
He ain't no trans Jesus.
Jesus probably had a mullet.
Did we get to the gays and Jerry Falwell? We did. We got to both of them.
We covered them.
High five.
Boop. All right.
Damn, this is heavy. It gets me fired up.
This time next week, I will be broadcasting from New Zealand because I'm going to immigrate there.
I was like, what? You didn't tell me about this trip.
They won't take me. They don't take Americans. I mean, you have
Probably
to be
a good idea.
Something. Yeah. No, they're smart. They're smart down there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're we are nice and isolated on the bottom side of the earth, and we don't want any of you people. You people are all awful.
Any white Americans.
We've got this we've got this beautiful, non-corrupt government happening. Our people are happy, and they're like, we don't want any of you. You all are awful. So,
I mean, they have everything. They've got
mountains. They've got right. I was thinking like mountains and beaches and and happy people and
happy people. They got the hobbits. I mean, why would you not want to live?
Hobbits?
Yeah,
I do want to live in a hobbit house. I do. I would love to have a hobbit house.
Shire?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you're small enough. You could. So you're just a tiny little. You're tiny. You don't have big enough feet. But, prosthetics.
I do like beer.
So there you have it. I could be a wizard. I'm tall enough to be a wizard in the Shire, maybe. Mm-hmm. So. Mm-hmm. All right. And I'm growing enough hair on my chin now that I'm menopausal. That's soon.
Yes.
Soon I can be Kristen the Gray.
I just had to get mine this morning. I got it.
Did you? Did you have to pluck a few out?
I just got one. I just have one.
Mine like to grow right here. There's a little patch right there.
Yeah,
it's like a little soul patch.
Similar.
No, wants. Yay!
Oh, God.
Growing out my beard and moving to New Zealand.
Perfect. All right. Well, we will put all of the information in the show notes. Thank you again, everyone, for listening.
Maybe next week, let's do a little bit lighter topic.
Let's do a lighter topic. Good God.
Okay. I don't know what it'll be. We'll come up with something lighter, though.
All right.
Holy
Thanks,
caramba.
everyone. Bye, Kristen.
Bye. Pleasure. Ezekiel bread. Maybe we could do Ezekiel bread next week.
Okay.
We'll talk about sandwich bread. Okay. Love y'all.
Bye. Farewell. See ya.
Bye.
And I think you all should get a copy of God Bless the USA Bible Now and help spread our Christian values with others. There you have it. Let's make America pray again. God bless you, and God bless the USA.